Hi, I'm Karen. We're here at Montevilla Sewing Center, and today we're talking about the Pfaff Quilt Expression 720. In this video, I'm going to show you a very useful technique. Now, to start with, these feed dogs here actually have the capability of not just going back and forth like most machines, but they can actually walk the fabric side to side. That expands your possibility of sewing a great deal. For instance, this is a stippling stitch. Here's the beginning of that stitch, here's the end of that stitch. This is one complete stitch. I didn't have to move the fabric back and forth, the machine did it for me. And here's another example. And you can see this is wider than your normal 7 or 9 millimeter stitches. That's because these feed dogs do the work for you. Now, the neat thing I'm going to show you is how to repair a hole like in the jeans, the knees, say like the knees of your kids' pants get a little hole in there. Maybe it needs to be fixed, but you don't want to have to take out that side seam and flatten everything out in order to do that. So I'm going to show you, first of all, we're going to take off our accessory tray, and that allows you to put your jeans fabric right around here. Well, if you're going around a patch like this, how do you stitch the sides sideways? That's where the ability to walk side to side happens. And I'm going to show you the stitch that you would use for that. So right now we get into the menu, and actually I'm going to get out of that. I'm going to show you, say like we're back where we were at the beginning, essential stitches, stitch number 1. Okay, so how do you get into that 4-directional sewing? Go into the menu, go to this little oval down here. Now, I happen to know that it's in stitch category number 9, which is additional stitches. Here you have 2 groups, the optional feet stitches and the 4-directional. Now, look up here, you can see, it looks like, oh yeah, I can sew in a square. So how do we do that? I'll show you. Now, for this mending job that we're going to do, I'm going to just use a regular zigzag. You have also got like a feather stitch and other decorative stitches, or even a straight stitch. But I want a zigzag because I want my patch to not fray at the edges. Okay, now I found that it's really useful, and I've got just like the end of a pant leg here. I found that it's really useful to take your patch and stick it down with something like wash away wonder tape. The nice thing about this is that you can leave it in. You don't have to take it out. It's you don't have to worry about pins that you're sewing over or anything like that. It keeps the edges really nice and onto the fabric, and then at the first washing it washes out. Okay, so I've got a little thing here. I'm going to take some of this. I'm going to put some wonder tape right on here. In fact, I'm going to put my tray right up here so I can do it just like that. Take my scissors, cut off a piece, put that right on there. And you want to put it fairly close to the edges of your fabric so that it doesn't matter if the needle goes through the wonder tape, it's not going to gum up your needle. It's a really nice thing. I love wonder tape. I use it for putting in zippers so I don't have to use pins. Especially good for putting in invisible zippers because you can put it right on that zipper tape and just wash it all the way around. So you see what I'm doing? It's got this adhesive on the inside and then a backing that you can take off afterwards. So this is how I'm doing it. I'm getting it nice and close. Now I'm just using a piece of quilting cotton for my patch. You can also use a thicker, maybe a piece of twill or something like that. And iron-on patches, I know a lot of people use them for fixing holes in jeans and stuff like that, but the problem is you probably noticed they do tend to come up after several washings, and that's the heat of the dryer tends to make your iron-on patches come off. So this is a much better, more permanent way to fix the hole in the jeans. Now we're just going to pretend there's a hole here, and then you put your patch right over there. I've got the wonder tape on there, and you can see it's stuck on there really nicely. Take this tray off of here, and we put this right around here. Now the first direction that it's going to sew is to the side like this. Okay, so you can see where this little mark is right there. That's where we want, that's right where the needle's going to be. So we're going to put the presser foot down, and I'm going to push the presser foot lift, the down button a second time so I can get things lined up right where I want it to be. Now what I want to do as I'm sewing, and this is all something you can figure out on your own if you want to, but I'm just giving you the heads up on this. It helps to make sure that the edge of your fabric is even with the red mark here on the foot as you're going this way. As you're going down this way, then it'll be in the center, and as you're going the other way, also on the red mark, and I'll show you how that works. Now I also like to have my you might want to slow things down here. This is your speed slider, or, well, it reduces the maximum amount that you can go. You can make it a little bit faster if you want, or just slightly slower, or really slow. If you're just getting used to your machine, you may want to do that. But if you have this off, now you've got maximum speed. When you push down on the foot control, it goes maximum speed. But this also regulates how fast it goes when you do your stop-start button. So let's get started here. I'm going to use the foot control because I like a little bit more control that way. Now watch what it does. And you can see the edges of my patch are being overcast by the zigzag. It's got a little bit extra stitching that it does as it goes. And I'm going to wait until that edge of the fabric is now even with the middle of the foot. Now I push my reverse button. That changes the direction of the stitching. So as I'm sewing, it's going to be moving a little bit, but I want to make sure that that overcast goes over the edge of the fabric and into the patch. Okay, there we go. I've done this a couple of times, so I can go a little faster if I want to. And now I'm going to go slower. Now that's about where I want to stop, is with the edge of my fabric. Let's take one more stitch. There we go. That's about where I want to stop. Now just pressing a little bit on the foot control causes your needle to go down. I don't necessarily have to use this. That's a really nice feature about Pfaff sewing machines. Okay, I'm going to push this here, and now notice that we're going to be going this direction. And this is your little reminder to use your reverse button. That's what that little arrow means, like that. So now as I go along, I'm going to want to have my edge of my fabric even with that red mark on the foot. Okay. Okay. No further than that. There we go. And the Wonder Tape is holding the patch in place just beautifully. Okay, so I'm going to stop here, push the reverse button, and then we're going to go back. Yep, need to move it over a little bit more. So you can kind of guide things as you go with your fingers. And you can see how I did not need to turn my fabric at all. Now at this point, I'm going to push the locking stitch, the locking button, tie off button. Okay, and push my thread cutter. Now this is really a handy feature to have if you're sewing a pant leg. You don't have to get under there with your scissors, just use the scissor button and you can pull it right off and you're done. Now this here is the only thread that I would probably worry about cutting. The rest of it is just fine. My edges weren't real smooth, but that's okay. I can always trim that up later. But as you can see, this is a wonderful way to fix those holes in the knees of your kids' jeans. It's quick and easy, and it's good, long-lasting mend for your jeans. There's also, as I indicated, other stitches that are a little more fancy if you want to do that, but that's for directional sewing on your Pfaff Quilt Expression 720. I hope you've enjoyed this video and you found it helpful. Give us a thumbs up. If you have comments or questions, you can leave those in the area down below. We have lots of other videos here on our Montevilla YouTube channel, so keep watching. Thanks for watching today. Bye-bye.